Hello, I am back again. I'm Astral and welcome. So, for this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about conspiracy theories. This is something I'm hoping to cover in a more specific way in the future. But I just wanted to go over the broader sense of what conspiracy theories mean to me kind of thing, if that makes sense. Um I do apologize ahead of time as well. Like always, I am still learning a lot of things, so I'm gonna try not to keep starting my videos off like that. But just a little nervous, I guess. But yeah, so I know at their heart, like conspiracy theories have this like negative undertone to them, if you will. I know a lot of people who um either believe in conspiracy theories or talk about them or propagate them are very political, right? They're very leaning on a certain side of the political spectrum. And I'm here not to get political. I'm going to try my best to be as neutral as possible in terms of politicalness. I say, as my next video is probably going to be about LGBT issues, but that's still um not really leaning to one side or the other, just more my opinion and facts in a way. um but in terms of conspiracy theories, like I keep seeing these like people are very split on conspiracy theories. They're either like all conspiracy theories are nut job, idiot, wacko, extreme right, um false flag flat like false flagging idiots, and everyone who's like not is like either sheep, blind sheep, liberals, and like I really don't like that. I mean, obviously, at the heart, conspiracy theories are involving politics, and it's very, very difficult to separate politics from conspiracy theories, especially when a lot of conspiracy theories involve the government. So it's a little difficult to try to separate any of that, and that's not really my intention. My intention is to try today is to try to just explain where I'm coming from in terms of um conspiracy theories and what they kind of mean to me, if that makes a little sense. So I know I have a friend on Facebook, and we're pretty good friends, but she's like the biggest like anti-conspiracy theory and always tries to like disprove literally every single thing I try to post. You know what I mean? Like I won't even go into like a specific post. I'll just have like a small like little blurb about like what like maybe it was like maybe this didn't actually happen, maybe the government might be lying to us. I wouldn't trust the government. And then she'll be like, well actually I have the facts right here, and the government would never lie to us. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I'm not gonna get drawn into an argument with you. You're welcome to believe whatever the fuck you want to believe, right? But it's very annoying sometimes though, because it's like uh, but yeah, it's like I don't understand it because it's like people are like super like against thinking outside the box altogether, and that's not like how I am. I guess I lost track of how I was gonna phrase that, but I'm trying to go more off the cuff. I'm not gonna have like a list of a script here. Be like, well, furthermore, like you know, but because and I get that like a lot of bad eggs, I guess you could say, take things way too fucking far on both sides. So if anyone even thinks a conspiracy theory or like maybe not trusting your government or something like that, then they'll be like, "Whoa, well, this guy did something crazy, so any kind of thinking like that will like label you as like some like conservative nut job or something like that. And I'm like, that it might even it's not even a political thing for me. It's just not trusting the government thing fully. You know what I mean? So it's like, for a good example, I guess, like I've heard some people that are like against any kind of conspiracy theories whatsoever try to say like the um the whole like conspiracy theory about like lizard people running the elites or whatever is like very anti-Semitic and against Judaism and stuff like that. And I don't understand how that is related to lizard people like at all. Like I don't that's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe it's like there might be, because I don't even get like the whole like where is this coming from? I get that maybe some racist, anti-Semitic people might be like those darn elites and they're running everything or something, but that's not my belief at all, you know? But I do believe, well, I don't fully believe it, but it's fun to think about and talk about the possibility that maybe there is some aliens that have infiltrated mankind and are working behind the scenes to try to steer humanity in one direction or the other type of thing. But when I say aliens or lizard people, I'm not referring to Jews, you know? I don't understand how people are making that kind of connection. Because I'm like, I'm literally talking about aliens or like the reptilian aliens, you know? I'm not talking about a race of people that have like been subjugated against, you know? I don't understand how that's related. So like I like when some people talk about conspiracy theories, is it just like a giant psyop to like get people on the white supremacist bandwagon? Is that it? Because like, am I the only one here who's actually taking it serious and literal, and everyone else is like propagating this as some kind of like super horrible racist white supremacist thing, and I'm like the only freaking idiot here who's like my autistic ass is literally just being like super literal. Yeah, aliens, okay. And like everyone else is like, yeah, I'm like, we gotta do something about those aliens, huh? Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, I'm literally over here believing that it's actual aliens and that like all this stuff. So I don't know if like what percentage of the conspiracy theorists that are out there are actually like being literal in terms of like aliens and all this other stuff, and what percentage of people are like using it as some kind of psyop for like hate, you know? And I'm like, it shouldn't be about that. Like, if you're going that far to be like anti-Semitic, racist, whatever, just fucking come out and say it and like stop fucking with the rest of us so we can actually talk about like what the government's actually doing and like aliens and all this other shit, please. Because that's what I just don't understand. It's like, I don't know. Because it's like, there was something else I was going to talk about too. Because I was talking about like, and she was like, so like, they're so fervent about like proving that they have the correct version of history. And I'm like, but how do you know that? How do you know that? And I'm trying to prod her more and more. It's like, well, we were told that. I'm like, well, who are you told that by? Oh, the government, by our education system. I'm like, so you just accept everything without second guessing it. And that's not a proper mindset to have. We should be questioning authority, very much so in today's day and age, I feel, you know? So it's like, I don't believe or trust my government very much at all, right? And I don't know if that, like, if there's a term for that or whatever. I guess it would be libertarianism because they want less government. I don't know. I know I don't like either side because I feel like the left and the right and they're pitting each other against each other. Our government's trying to further divide us from the left and the right so that we are constantly fighting each other. And so we don't pay attention to what the government's actually doing. You understand? So it's like I don't like furthering any kind of extra discussion about, oh, the people on the right, the people on the left. I'm not about that. I know there's a lot of people that do that. And then there are people who take it too far, like saying, oh, this really recent tragedy that just happened is a false flag incident, and that there are trauma actors out there, not real parents of like kids who might have gotten killed or shot. I'm like, that's taking it fucking too far. First of all, like you shouldn't fucking do that, especially at a very recent tragedy has just happened. Let people mourn and grieve. Don't be speculating about how it could be all fake, right? Because like, is there a chance that it possibly could be fake? I don't know. And like, but maybe you shouldn't be like vocalizing that in the public when like people haven't even healed yet. Like, wait a while. I don't know. Like, but hold on. Before I get too sidetracked, yes, I'm drinking a fucking Capri Sun. Like, this Capri Sun's really fucking good. It's 100% juice. There's no artificial flavors. I'm like, but why can't they just sell me a big ass like 2 liter bottle of Capri Sun? Why do I have to buy these stupid little fucking pouches? I gotta buy like a 12 pack of these stupid little pouches and waste so much money in extra like recycle. I don't even think this is recyclable. They just ends up in a land fucking fill. I'm like, why don't you just give me a 2 liter bottle of this shit, or like a bigger bottle of juice that I could buy that tastes the same as this, but it doesn't taste the same as this because the ones that are actually in the big jugs have like all these artificial flavors in it. Sorry, juice rant. But to me, it's like not necessarily that I believe every conspiracy theory, because that's another thing, right? It's like, oh, you believe this conspiracy theory, you have to believe this conspiracy theory too. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of cherry picking, if you will, what conspiracy theories make sense to me as opposed to which ones are utterly ludicrous. You know, at least in my opinion. But like, and that's the whole beauty of it is like we're all entitled to our own opinions on everything. So like what I believe is obviously going to be different than what you believe, and that's fine. We're not hurting anyone by having different opinions, as long as you don't try to take away someone else's rights or freedoms by doing so, right? As long as you're not hurting someone, as long as you're not trying to enforce your beliefs on others, as long as you're not trying to take away someone else's rights or beliefs. Those are the three real things you have to worry about, right? If you're not doing any of those and you just have your own beliefs, that's fine. Ugh, stupid camera. And it's like, so it's like, I like to feel like, I guess you could use conspiracy, like, you can consider it as like me using conspiracy theories as like a sort of form of escapism, if you will, because I like to believe that there is a lot more to this universe than what we are told, and that the universe is a lot bigger than what we are led to believe, and that by only listening to the authority and by the government, they will make it seem like our world and our universe is very very small and uneventful and boring when it's really not. And it's always good to think outside of the box and to question authority, if you will. So like they want you to like never question anything, to remain loyal and obedient to them at all times, and they start feeding you lies like as soon as you're in school, like so that they feed you the biggest lies when you're young and too young to understand or question it, right? So that when you get older it's just an instant fact that the earth is round and all this other crazy stuff, because that's what you were taught when you were younger. So when you're taught when you're younger, it's going to be ridiculous if anyone ever questions that, because that's what they told you when you were younger, right? You didn't know any better. You were just a kid. You just wanted your fucking juice, right? So so it's like you just like, and that's the other thing, is that the whole flawed education system as it is, like the great, I would argue that like probably half of the human history that we know of is incorrect, right? Because history is written by the winners, and winners tend to exaggerate a tad. So obviously the winners boasted and exaggerated greatly in terms of what actually happened, and then not to mention the fact that most school textbooks are fucking written in Texas, which are already extremely biased, and they're probably not gonna write the whole truth of what happened or what we actually did to a lot of people. You notice like a lot of people who are like Christians like don't even know what happened during like the Spanish Inquisition, or how they tortured people into believing Christianity and all this stuff. They're like, "Oh no, Christians would never do that." I'm like, "Yeah, they kind of did." But I digress about that. I don't want to get into a whole religious argument, but it's just like, so in my mind, please don't, from this point onward or whatever, don't think that I have like this secret like hatred code, hate speak thing. I don't hate any group of people. I'm not trying to further any kind of like speak code speak or anything like that, and that would really like, I really hope I'm wrong and that's not the case, because it's like I just want to sit here and talk about aliens and stuff. I really don't see how like me talking about aliens is somehow like related to like horribly hating on a group of people or something. Because like when you use the word elite, it's kind of like coded as it is, but like what else are you gonna call it? The 1% maybe? Because like when I use that word, if I'm gonna be using that word or whatever, I'm referring to like the people who actually control the world, not a group, not a religious group, not Jews. No, I'm referring to the super wealthy 1% of billionaires that freaking make all the decisions that affect all the people, the Bilderberg group, all that stuff. That's what I'm referring to. These old, pasty white, super rich, like wait, was it like, I can't remember the exact number, but it's like what, 5 or 7 families that like basically rule the world, that own everything. It's like 5 to 7 families that like own every fucking corporation, because all these many different corporations are like owned by like multiple like big companies, and then like the one family will own this big company, right? So you got like 7 families that like own every single corporation in existence, basically, right? And they're poisoning us on top of that because of a, that's a whole nother. Well, it's not even really conspiracy there at that point. That's just reality, and it's on a shame, because it's like in every other country, um, yeah, the different additives, the preservatives, the food colorings are all banned in every other country except for America. Except for America and third world countries, they're banned, right? But America's the best country ever, so apparently we don't know any better or something. And it's like they're basically just trying to poison us. You got Monsanto, you got like all these are like pesticides in the ground, the spraying, and they worry so much about bees, right? They worry about like, oh well, these pesticides don't bother the bees because the bees don't actually touch the ground, and the bees are pollinating the flowers and moving on, but the pesticide rests on the ground and the bees don't touch the ground, so it's okay. But you got the earthworms, and the earthworms are digging and help making the ground more fertile for the flowers and the veggies that we are growing, and now our veggies are going to have a lot less nutrients in it because we're poisoning the freaking ground, and they don't seem to care or understand about that. I'm like, I think I'd rather have like deal with some bugs on our fruits and veggies than you poisoning the freaking ground. Stuff like that, you know? Like, I don't think that would be considered a conspiracy theory, but you never know nowadays. And then we wonder why, like, we are getting to where current generations are being outlived by our parents. So our parents are ended up living a lot longer than we are nowadays. And then we're wondering why that's happening and like why cancer rates are still skyrocketing. Because, like, since we're talking about conspiracy theories, I almost guarantee you that there is a cure for cancer, but they're holding that back because the cost to cure cancer is too lucrative for them to give up. You know, chemotherapy and radiation treatments and all that's really fucking expensive. So they'd rather rake in the money by doing that than actually curing the cancer, you see? So it's like, but all the super rich 1%, all the big name politicians and everything like that, if they get cancer, they'll probably have it cured. Or maybe the cure to cancer is that fucking adrenochrome or whatever the hell it is, supposedly. If I don't know if I believe in that at all, but I've heard about that. I'm like, okay, so like, maybe it just leave the fucking kids alone and don't suck their bloods like your old fucking vampires, maybe. If I really hope that's a lie and not actually happening, because that's fucking depressing too. You see what I'm saying? But it's like, so like, yeah, I mean, it's natural to like have some that you believe in and some that you don't believe in, and that's fine too. So like, eventually I'm gonna go like hopefully like I'll bring my boyfriend on and we can talk about different kinds of conspiracy theories together, that kind of thing. I think that'd be kind of fun. Um but I just wanted to get this one out there to like, I guess just say that like I don't really understand, or I'm not trying to propagate any kind of hate or any kind of like coded messages or anything like that. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible as just a normal person out here sharing my own experience and life experiences and stuff like that and my own beliefs. And if that helps even one person, I'll be happy. And I think it's just kind of also like a good excuse for me to practice skills in terms of like talking to a camera and all this other stuff like this. So I don't want anyone to think I'm doing anything shady or anything like that. I'm not trying to. When I talk about aliens, I'm talking about actual freaking aliens. I'm not talking about a race of people or something like that. No, I'm talking about fucking actual aliens. Sorry. I don't know. And then it like, and then it's like I told someone at work like a while back. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like liking that Ancient Alien show. I think it's kind of interesting. They're like, whoa, no, that show's really horrible. I'm like, what? Why? And they're like, well, because that's trying to insinuate that our ancient ancestors uh were too stupid to have built that kind of thing and needed help from aliens. I'm like, that's not really what they're insinuating, though. I don't think, because I've seen at least 2 3 seasons of that show. I'm not that far yet because I know there's like so many fucking seasons of that show. I need to catch up. But it's like they're not even insinuating that they didn't build it. They're just saying that the locations they built it and how they built it, maybe they were given instructions on where to build or when to build or how it should be shaped. Not that they didn't build it themselves, not like aliens came and literally zap and built it for them, but they might have been giving like directions on where and how and why to build it, you know? And I've seen a lot of people argue that like the pyramids could be like some sort of ancient power source. And if anything, I'm giving huge props to our ancient ancestors because they can fucking make a road hundreds of thousands of years ago and it'll still be a fucking road We can't even pave a highway that won't get a pothole in it in like a month. Okay? So they definitely knew how to build things a lot fucking better than we know how to build things ourselves. And that also like kind of leads into the fact that my belief that like um humans as like living in civilization and societies as opposed to hunter gatherers existed a lot earlier than we believe, and that goes into the whole Graham Hancock um theory about ancient what was it, Ancient Apocalypse. It's on Netflix. I really recommend that show because it's a really good show, and I agree with him on all that because that does make a lot of sense. I don't think the history that we are taught is really that well researched. I feel there is oh, I lost the word for it. There's a version of history that the Academy wants to um just kind of go with that's like their own, like we decided this is how human history is. We're never gonna look into any other possible um evidence or anything like that. This is just how we decided this is, and that's how it's always gonna be, and there's no one should ever question this, so they'll be expelled from the Academy forever. And like that's very arrogant way of thinking. Like I heard there was like a lot of like in the early 1900s there's a lot of giant skeletons, like literally like 7 and 9 feet tall humanoid skeletons, giant skulls, long 4 foot long femurs, like giant sized skeletons. And they just in the early 1900s they destroyed these skeletons because it didn't go along with Darwin's theory of our evolution. And that's kind of fucked up because it's like anything that doesn't go along with your accepted version of history, you're just gonna toss out like that. That's really fucked up. Because, like I said, I really do believe that history is a lot more different and unique than we give it credit for, and how much information we lost when like the library in Alexandria burnt to the ground, you know, because like people think like, oh, transgender people just kind of popped up out of nowhere. It's like, no, our history was stolen from us. Like it was burnt to the ground. The history of a lot of like like LGBT individuals and stuff was like in those libraries along with it, along with all these other information that was lost, you know? And it's just a shame. So it's like never just accept like what standard science or standard academia education claims is the truth, especially when a lot of it doesn't have that much evidence to back it up, kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm not, but there's always a fine line to balance on this type of thing too, because on one hand, like you shouldn't trust the government at all, right? Like on one hand, you shouldn't trust the government at all, but on the other hand, how competent do we think the government actually is, though? That's the other problem. Because I don't believe our government is very competent at all. So if a government is not competent at all, how how good are they at perpetrating these massive, huge conspiracy level cover up secrets that they can keep with them to the grave? So it's like it's kind of hard to weigh those two. You know what I mean? So it's like, did we actually go to the moon? If we went to the moon, obviously not that many people probably knew about it. It was probably just the higher ups. But then, how good are they at keeping that such a huge, massive secret a secret for so long and never talking to anyone? So it's like it's kind of difficult to weigh the pros and the cons, but it's very interesting to think about no matter what is the case, what side you believe in. It's still interesting to opening your mind to the possibility that every single thing that we know might not be exactly the case and exactly true. Just because we were taught it at such a young age doesn't mean it's always true, you know? But like, because recently I've been because I like to watch like even different viewpoints I don't fully believe. I still like to see that like what they're talking about. Um, I'm watching some flat Earth documentaries lately because I don't understand how a flat Earth could function. So I'm trying to understand to see how they think because they believe the Earth is flat. So I'm trying to watch to see how they believe the Earth actually functions if it was flat. And I'm not over here like saying I believe one way or the other. I was just obviously, again, that's something that like we were taught when we were very very little kids. That's like one of the main facts we know about our own world we live in ever since we were like what 2 or 3 years old. The Earth is flat. Um, everybody poops. ABCs and all that. You know, it's like every fucking classroom has a fucking globe on it, right? Why would they lie about that? I don't know, but I'm not about to trust every single thing I was taught, especially as a kid. That's where you really need to pay attention. If you were taught like the basic fundamentals of how the world is when you were a little kid, question that. Because when you get older, you have other worries to deal with. You're never gonna be questioning that. And then it's like, well, if you were taught it when you're a very little kid, it must be true then, right? But then what about Santa Claus, right? Because Santa Claus, you were told that at a very young age, and then you later on eventually find out Santa Claus doesn't exist. I hope no actual kids are watching this because I hate to be the one to like oh by the way, Santa Claus might not exist. So hopefully no fucking kids are watching this because I hate to be the one to actually break it to them. But you eventually find that out and you're like, well, what else could they be lying about? If they could be lying about something, because when you're a kid, you think Santa Claus is like a big fucking, like everyone knows that's real, right? But then you start getting older and obviously you're like, well, if they were lying about that, what else could they be lying about, you know? So it's like, does our government know about ETs and aliens? Did we actually go to the moon in the 60s and 70s? Why did the Van Allen belts go from being very problematic and being very hard to like not being able to be passed to oh no problem whatsoever, they didn't get any radiation whatsoever, to now being super problematic and we need to figure out how to pass through this safely again? It's like, how do we pass the Van Allen belts in the fucking 60s when it was considered a huge danger and there was no radiation shielding whatsoever fucking ever on that space shuttle thing, you know? I'm gonna stop drinking that because it's almost gone anyway. And I don't want to make any annoying noises for you, so I'm sorry about that. Or the whole conspiracy theory that like somehow Hitler didn't die and it was his body double that was killed to make look like a suicide, and he really either escaped to inner Earth or went to Antarctica first to then go into Hollow Earth, or moved somewhere else and lived out the rest of his days in fucking Honolulu somewhere. I don't fucking know. Because no one, like only very few people saw him in that bunker. So it's like, did he actually? That was it actually him, or did they do a whole switcheroo with a body double kind of thing? I'm like, I don't know. And then they haven't like, and then I think the person they put in charge of like verifying that was actually Hitler's body or whatever was like not even a police or like investigator at all. It was like some college level historian guy. I'm like, you're gonna put like some random college professor in charge of figuring out if that was actually Hitler's body or not? I'm like, really? And another big favorite of mine, hold on. I'm really thirsty for some reason. And another big one was like another big conspiracy theory I do believe in is the Titanic being swapped for its sister ship, the Olympic, and that like if you actually go into that, I believe there is documentary on Amazon Prime about that, and it's really good. I do recommend that a lot, and that's very interesting to think about because that like if you look into the details on that, it does make quite a bit of sense. so that they could have possibly swapped the names on those right before they shipped it out. Because the Titanic got a very quick and like rudimentary um seafaring like testing done compared to other ships at the time. Um and the Olympic wouldn't have been able to make the more rigorous testing that was being done. So if they swapped the names of it, it would have passed the more easy Titanic, and it's all these things add like if you actually go into it, I'm not going to go into full depth. I'm not going to go into a deep dive on any of these right now, but eventually hopefully I will go into a few more of these like in more depth. I'm just covering a few super basic ones that I kind of like, but it's like it's very interesting and it tickles a certain part of your brain that really lights up, and it really is like really fun to think about this kind of stuff. It's like maybe everything we taught, not everything, but like certain big things we were taught might not be the way that we were actually um told or given information on, and that maybe there's a bigger picture out there, maybe that's more intriguing, maybe there's more sabotage, maybe the CIA really did kill Kennedy because they so fucking killed Kennedy. Come on, Oswald is not making that shot by himself. I'm sorry. And then he mysteriously gets killed by Jack Ruby? No, no, I'm sorry. Nope. Or does jet fuel really melt steel beams? I don't know. Could they have actually pulled off that just to go to war for fuel? What was it? Did they have weapons of mass destruction? I can't remember. Was it Iran that they were claiming had weapons of mass destruction? I can't actually remember what country they were claiming had weapons of mass destruction at the time, though. But it's like obviously they fucking didn't, and we all know how money hungry like the fucking U.S. is. So it's like they will use any excuse they can to go to war because our country never thrives better than when we're fucking killing someone. That's when our country thrives the best. So it's all really fun to think about, in my opinion. And it's like I'm not here to try to convince anyone of anything. You're all welcome to your own beliefs. I just think it's fun to talk about, and I'm really hoping that no one gets offended by anything I say, let alone any of these conspiracy theories, because I don't mean to detract or put down or deride or be racist or anything like that, or to hate anyone, because that's not what I'm here for, right? That's not the point of this channel. If you think that's the point of this channel, if you are some sort of racist, uh, like really bigoted, hateful individual, please go somewhere else. This is not the channel for you. Um, everyone is human. Everyone here deserves the same kind of love, respect, and kindness, and that's just basic being a decent human being, right? Um, but yeah, so I was gonna say something else and I lost track. Again, I should probably write down some things, just like a little bullet for a thing. This is getting a little late though, a little bit of a long video here. I'm sorry about that. Let me just make sure really quick there's nothing else to talk about in terms of conspiracy theories that I wanted to get across. Because the main thing was just that, so no, I'll end it now. I like if I'll probably think of some other shit later on, and I'll just have to write it down for a future video. I'm not gonna keep you guys and be like, what's that thing? I think I got it all down. But it's just for me, it's just a lot of fun to like stretch your mind and let it wander and think about the what ifs in the world. Like, what if this didn't happen the way they said it did? What if we didn't actually go to the moon? What if all these things didn't happen or happened differently than what we're told? Maybe they actually came across aliens in the moon and like, shit, we can't actually film these different fucking alien beings on the fucking moon. We're gonna have to come up with some fake footage or whatever. Have fucking Stanley Kubrick go come over here and fucking film this fake landing so we don't actually reveal to the public these aliens or something. Or how did they fucking make it through the Van Allen belts? They were so desperate to win the space race. But it's just fun for me to think about, and I I don't want to hurt anyone in the process by someone mistaking my genuine curiosity or questioning as some sort of weird coded message when it's definitely not intended to be. Like, I'm not the type to code any kind of message. I'm like, if I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be try to be like as honest as possible. I'm not gonna just try to hide something and like hope someone deciphers some secret meaning that I didn't even intend, you know? So, but that's it for this video. I'll be back with another video in a little bit. Hopefully you did enjoy this one, and I'll see you next time.